Now, just like the cars and the planes in Grand Theft Auto Online, Grand Theft Auto Online also has a wide abundance of helicopters in the game. I wanted to make this video talk about helicopters you must own in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now, before I get into the list, I want to talk about the newest helicopter that came out recently, that being the Weaponized Conada. Now, this is the biggest fucking waste of potential I've seen in my fucking life, next to Red Dead Online in the DC universe. Like, this has to be the shittiest fucking helicopter they could have made. It's like they went below the fucking bare minimum. The bar was so low to make this helicopter somewhat decent, and it was below that. It's below the Stealth Annihilator, and it's even below the fucking Valkyrie. Say what you want about the Stealth Annihilator and Valkyrie, at least those two have some sort of purpose, when this one doesn't have any fucking purpose whatsoever. It's just a fucking more expensive version of the Buzzard with worse fucking machine guns. There's no bombs for this, there's no armor on it, there's no decent missile tracking, there's no spammable missiles, there's no explosive cannon on it. There's a whole lot of fucking nothing on this, and it's over $3 million. Now, how does a slightly worse version of the Buzzard, a 10-year-old helicopter by the way, how does that justify the $3+ million price tag for this fucking helicopter? You mean to tell me Rockstar decided to remove 188 vehicles from the game so they can make room for this piece of shit helicopter? This helicopter is so fucking shit, I didn't even fucking buy it. You're probably sitting there like, oh well, you can't really have an opinion on it because you didn't buy it. Yes, the fuck I can. It's like how I didn't pay for your mother's services doesn't mean I can't judge that she's a whore. All jokes there. But I have seen YouTube videos about it. I have seen testing and comparisons with other helicopters, and the Conada is probably the biggest waste of space in Grand Theft Auto Online, next to the document forgery business. This is that fucking worthless. Now, with all that out of the way, let's just go ahead and jump into the video. Now for the Savage. The Savage actually came out with the Heist DLC back in 2015, and it was pretty decent for its time actually. Like, it had the explosive cannon just like the Hydra and Laser, and this is still the only vehicle in the game that has the overpowered explosive cannon, but it kind of balances out because the Savage actually flies like fucking shit. It's just super fucking heavy, and it's not very maneuverable. But if you know what you're doing with it, I do recommend it. It does have the same missiles as the Buzzard, as in you can't spam it. There's like a 5-second reload. Not only does it have the explosive cannon, it can also take up to 2 honing missiles before blowing up. But the helicopter is pretty much disabled by the time it gets hit by the first honing missile, so I will say that. But it does at the very least have enough armor, so if you get hit by a honing missile, you can jump out in time. Up next on the list will have to be the Buzzard. Now the Buzzard has been in the game since day 1, since release of the game. And it's still one of the fastest helicopters in the game. Not only that, you can spawn it right next to you through the interaction menu with Sekiro Serve. And if you haven't bought the Buzzard, you can pay $25,000 every time to spawn it next to you. And the machine guns are pretty powerful. They are really useful. They're not the bullshit pea shooters that you see on the Stealth Annihilator and you see on the Conada. They're actually really useful. And they're actually pretty useful when dogfighting other helicopters as well. But I will say that the missiles are really outdated. It has a 5-second reload, and also there's no armor on the Buzzard whatsoever. It is pretty agile, so you can dodge a lot of missiles, but if you're going up against a vehicle like the Deluxo, there's like no chance of dodging those missiles. And all it takes is one explosive to blow up the Buzzard, but I really would not recommend this if you're be fighting other players, but I do recommend using it for missions like Headhunter or any of the contact missions that are in GTA Online. Up next on the list will have to be the Akula. The Akula came out with the Doomsday Heist DLC, and is actually one of the most unique helicopters before the Annihilator Stealth came. The Akula does have stealth mode, much like the Annihilator and the Raiju. It has barrage missiles, so it fires 7 missiles at once. One thing I don't like about the Akula is that it has bombs, which is actually a plus, but the reason why I don't like that is because you have to press the same button in order to activate stealth mode and to drop bombs. So if you want to drop bombs, you gotta hold down on right on the D-pad. And if you want to go into stealth mode, you gotta press right on the D-pad. So you could accidentally just go into stealth mode when you're trying to open up your bomb bay and drop bombs. So that could happen. And it has happened to me quite a few times. So there's been times where I'm trying to bomb other players and I accidentally hit into stealth mode. And by the time I get out of stealth mode, I get blown up out of the sky. So there is that risk, so I feel like I'm the only one that had that issue, but hopefully I'm not that stupid. Also, I will say the missile tracking on the Akula isn't that great as well. I will say, just for it being on this list, I 100% do recommend getting this, especially for the stealth mode. Up next on the list would have to be the Hunter. Now the Hunter was actually super close to being number 1, but I'll explain later why I didn't make it number 1. Now the Hunter, just like the Akula, has barrage missiles, and the copilot, if you have a friend or another player in the helicopter with you, they actually have an explosive cannon, and the way the explosive cannon works is that as copilot you can use the camera and zoom in on other players or other targets, and just zoom in and just one hit kill them. It's pretty overpowered. It is semi-automatic though, so you can't like spam it, like barrage it, but it still is pretty overpowered. And when me and my friends use this against other players, they have a hard time trying to kill us. It also has great armor, and also has countermeasures as well, like flares and shafts, so I do recommend this for sure. Last on the list will have to be the Sparrow. Now, in order to get the Sparrow, you have to buy the Kasaka and then add the Sparrow to the Kasaka. So you're going to be spending about $4 million just to get the Sparrow between the Kasaka and the Sparrow. But one thing I'll say is that the Sparrow is super convenient. It has great maneuverability. It has great honing missiles, because the honing missiles you can actually spam, and you can actually turn off the honing missiles. If you're fighting somebody that's on the ground, you can just turn off the honing missiles so you don't lock on cops or other players. And the Sparrow also comes with countermeasures like shafts and flares. And also you can spawn it right next to you through the interaction menu as well, so that's actually pretty convenient. One thing I will say is that the Sparrow has absolutely no armor whatsoever. It's actually really weak. If you were to crash a Sparrow into a bridge or a pole, it'll start immediately smoking, and like in the span of 5 minutes your helicopter will be disabled. I will say the speed and the convenience and the spammable missiles, I will say it does make up for it for sure. Now that's my list of all the helicopters I believe you should buy in the game. Let me know down in the comment section below if you disagree or agree with this list. Let me know down in the comment section below if you think another helicopter should be added to this list. But if you guys did go on to this video, like and a comment will be appreciated. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And yeah, with all that out of the way, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.